And Jacob and Jared from Marble City Pharmacy join us this morning for Health Monday. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The seasons are changing, schools are starting back, and that means changes in healthcare as well.
It does. It's still super hot outside though, right?
It is.
But August is National Immunization Awareness Month. So that's what we're hoping to talk about today, flu shots, but everything else in addition to it.
You know, let's begin with flu shots. And you hear so many different stories about flu shots. Gosh, I took a flu shot and it made me sick.
I took a flu shot, I got the flu. I took a flu shot, they think it gave me the flu. I took a flu shot, and then later in the year, I still got the flu anyway. I took a flu shot, and it just made me feel bad. All of these things, with the exception of that first sentence, can be true. It's possible to still get the flu later in the year if you get a flu shot. As the virus mutates, changes from what we're vaccinated against, yes, it's possible. I got the flu from the flu shot is not possible. Never has been, never will be, but I get that 100 times every flu season. I got the flu from the flu shot. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with you because I can't explain that anymore. But yeah, you hear those things. Most commonly, you get a flu shot, you might have the sniffles the next day, and you're protected from the flu for the entire flu season of that year. That's the most likely answer, the highest percentage answer, and I'll take that odds anytime.
Pretty good trade-off.
Yeah, I'll take that odds anytime.
Jared, it's kind of our psyche, we've heard this and it has to happen to us,
Well, that's right. Well, it kind of goes back to how vaccines work. Vaccines basically introduce our immune system to whatever they're trying to protect us against, right? And so when we get a vaccine, our immune system starts to produce antibodies. And when that happens, there can be a slight fever. It's just the way things go. But what it's doing, though, is protecting us long-term from those diseases.
So let's talk about that this morning, and this being Awareness Month. What does this exactly mean, and what do we need to do?
The purpose of Immunization Awareness Month is to get us thinking, to get your doctor thinking, your pharmacist thinking, and most specifically you thinking, and that is, what vaccines do I need? Well, I got news for you. People sitting at home don't know that, and that's okay. So the purpose of Immunization Awareness Month is for you to get with someone, your doctor, your pharmacist, me, let's go over what vaccines as an adult have you had? When have you had them? What might you need? What other conditions do you have? There's a lot to know. There's a whole lot to know. And fortunately, that's what we're trained to do. And so we would love to have the opportunity to let's figure out what you've had, when you had it, what conditions you have, what vaccines you may need, and let's get you caught up to where you need to be. So that's the purpose of the month.
Different vaccines too.
Different vaccines, and we're going to start, we've done this for years now, but we're going to officially start advertising this. We're going to call them immunization checkups. And all we mean by that is what Jacob said. When you come for your flu shot, if you want to review those things with us, we'll make it known to you. There are 2 vaccines that every single adult needs, period. One of them is the flu shot. Flu shot's recommended by the CDC for everybody aged 6 months and older, so that certainly includes adults. The second one that's recommended for every single adult is the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccine. We can talk some more about that in just a minute. And then beyond those 2, depending on your age, your gender, your health conditions, all sorts of things, there are 2 or 3 other ones that are pretty major and can factor in.
Can you do all that in the store?
Absolutely. There is nothing we enjoy more than hurting someone.
I understand.
Right, yeah. Some days you're having a frustrating day, you just need to stick some. We can do all that at the store, absolutely.
Also a myth, doesn't hurt at all, really.
Yeah, and is flu shots for everybody?
Flu shots are for everybody aged 6 years and older. The only person who might have a contraindication of that would be somebody who has a true allergy to eggs or egg proteins, because the vaccines are made from egg proteins. True allergy, just to review, is when your throat swells up and you can't breathe anymore. That's a serious life-threatening reaction, not my stomach hurts or that sort of thing. Even then, persons with a true egg allergy can be kind of worked out of that, but that has to be done by allergists. That's beyond our area of expertise. So we wouldn't vaccinate those people. Otherwise, everybody can get the vaccine.
Those flu shots, do you need an appointment to get those?
Absolutely not. We keep them all the time. We keep pharmacists on hand all the time, clearly, and we're ready to go whenever you are.
Now let's face it, guys. You come get a flu shot and you start talking about this other stuff. I have no idea what kind of shots, immunizations I took years ago or what's needed now. So how do you do that?
Sure. Well, let's get on. Let's work on this for just a minute. First of all, let's start with the Tdap vaccine: tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. A number of you guys may know that all adults need a tetanus booster every 10 years, right? Tetanus is the thing that happens when you step on a rusty nail. It can be very, very, very serious infection. So we want to keep up to date once every 10 years. Diphtheria you almost never see in the United States. In fact, it's pretty much been eliminated from the United States, but it does still exist in other parts of the world. That's why we still vaccinate.
And we have more and more people travel to other parts of the world.
More and more people traveling. They can be brought back in. If we stop vaccinating against it, guess what? It'll be an epidemic before too long. The third thing in that vaccine is probably the most urgent for a number of our listeners, and that is the pertussis component. Pertussis, just a medical name for whooping cough. Whooping cough can be really, really serious for little kids, particularly ages 5 and less. And so this vaccine is recommended for anybody who's going to be in contact with a kid less than 5 years old. Pregnant women, grandparents who are going to be handling little kids. Definitely need to consider that vaccine if you're not caught up on it.
And Jacob, what about little ones that are going back to school?
Little ones going back to school, there is a number of things, and that has become, and this is a positive in my opinion, that has become very mandated and governmentalized. And so that's not something we do a lot of, to be honest with you. You know, you'll get the blue form. Everybody knows the blue form. You know, the parents have that. This is the vaccines your child has had at the pediatrician's office. This is the vaccines they have to go back to school. The pediatrician handles that. There's not in our side, not a lot of choice given in that, and honestly not something we deal a lot with in our practice, because that is something that is pretty much mandated, done at the pediatrician's office at this age, this age, this age, not a lot of choice, and so we don't deal personally a lot with that. But kids don't generally miss those vaccines as long as they're going to regular, yearly pediatrician appointment. Pediatrician's on top of that. Yeah. That's a large chunk of their job.
Now I can't say one of these words. I can say pneumonia.
Try pneumococcal. How about that?
Same to you, buddy.
Well, outside of those two that we named that every adult has to keep up with, we have two other ones that are very, very commonly done in our pharmacy, and that would be the pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine and the shingles vaccine. Pneumococcal pneumonia, what I want to tell you guys is that vaccine has been around for years, at least in one form or another. People need that vaccine who are, first of all, everybody over age 65 gets it. If you're less than 65 and you have diabetes or heart disease or some kind of lung condition like asthma or COPD, then you need this vaccine, because pneumonia can, combined with those type health conditions, it can be very, very deadly. And you guys have all probably had a friend or a loved one who's passed away in the hospital from pneumonia. So a very, very serious thing. What I want to get across today is that within the last 5 years, there's been introduction of a second pneumococcal pneumonia vaccine. That makes the recommendations very confusing, because after you turn 65, you actually have to have a dose of each, and they have to be spread apart by a certain number of months. So I just encourage all of you to come and talk to us about where you are in the recommendations for that vaccine, and we can work it out.
Now, can the medications that we're currently taking, does that affect the shots that you get, the immunization shots?
A very good question, and not one that gets talked about a lot.
I'm surprised to hear how good a question comes from.
I do daybreak every morning.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you were able to ask a good question. I don't even know what to do with this now. It's time to go home. No, in most instances, your standard every day, your blood pressure medicine, whatever, no. However, some very important recommendations in there. If you are on a medication for, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis, the way we treat that long term is to suppress your immune system. Long-term steroids, things like that. Mm-hmm. We're purposefully suppressing your immune system. That can affect both your likelihood of getting certain diseases we would vaccinate against. It can also affect how well or whether or not those vaccines work in you, or how we have to give either higher doses or extra doses. It can affect whether or not you need certain vaccines at a maybe younger age than someone else might otherwise need it. So with, again, most medicines, no, nothing to do with vaccines. But in a very small subset of patients, it's extremely important. Again, it's mostly people who are on some type of immune therapy.
3 minutes left. We're going to talk about shingles. A lot of people have dealt with that. I've never dealt with it personally, but I know a lot of people have.
Yeah.
They say it's some of the worst pain they've ever suffered.
Shingles is a great transition from our last question, because the shingles vaccine is actually a live vaccine. It's the only one we've talked about today that's a live vaccine, meaning that the vaccine has actual strains of the virus in it, but they're very, very weakened and they cannot cause the disease. So let me be clear about that. The shingles vaccine will not cause the shingles. Another thing that, in addition to what Jacob said, persons who are on chemotherapy, another thing that weakens the immune system. So the shingles vaccine, because it is live, it has the chance to overtake the immune system when it's weakened. And so we're very careful in persons who get those. Shingles, of course, is a very, very painful rash. Usually occurs right here on one of the sides of the trunk. Sometimes can occur on one of the sides of the face. Those are the most common sites. Other times occurs in other parts of the body as well. Very, very painful rash, even after you treat it with antiviral tablets or liquids. Sometimes the pain from the rash lingers for months or even years.
Wow.
And so shingles is not something that's going to kill you, but it's something that can severely affect your quality of life.
Who needs to take the shingles vaccination?
The simple and first recommendation is 60 and over. If you're, which I don't know your television demographics, I imagine that's a high percentage of your viewers. 60 and over, shingles vaccine. Now, below 60, there's some questions, some recommendations a doctor may recommend here and there, but in general, 60 and over, we need that shingles vaccine.
Got about a minute left.
Sure.
Can we get all those vaccinations at one time, or?
Actually, you can. That's a fantastic question. I think some persons are afraid to get multiple shots at one time, maybe just because of multiple sticks, and that's fine, and the pain and all that. But any vaccine, these vaccines that we've named, all 4 of them can literally be given simultaneously without any problem.
You just said simultaneously. That's a long word.
It is. Okay. And Jacob, if you're having a bad day, I don't want you giving me all those. We have to swap out.
Yeah, it depends how angry I am. I'll tell you who we never get the complaint from is the former military guys, who used to just have to stand in a line and get like 4. Those guys, say, hey, I'm sorry, I got to get 2 shots a day. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. That doesn't phase them in the least.
Hey, for more information, they can come by the store, right?
Absolutely. Happy to talk to him anytime. And
of course, Marble City Pharmacy is a part of our Help Monday, and we appreciate both these guys, Jacob and Jared, for being with us here on Daybreak. Hey, we've got lots more to do. If you need more information on the immunization, this is National Immunization Awareness Month. Get by the pharmacy and see these 2 guys. We got more Daybreak right after this.